It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. Great to have you in studio with us today. We're going to get a real quick update on the Tenderfoot fire and a few other things going on in Yavapai County. We've got Yavapai County Emergency Management Director Denny Folk and Yavapai County Emergency Management Lead PIO Marcy Slay, who you've heard, I don't know.
A few times.
A few times. I mean, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Monday. No, I didn't have you on yesterday, but 4 days in a row there where we were talking to Marcy, I don't know, every few hours,
right,
getting updates on the Tenderfoot fire, which is, of course, outside Yarnell. Let me ask you this. Here we are. You know, it's Wednesday afternoon. You guys are probably doing whatever it is you do, and then you probably get a call. How were you told that Tenderfoot fire was underway?
Oh, Hugh Valley got a report from a roads crew that spotted the fire, and he pulled me off the side. He said, "Hey, it looks like we got a fire out in Yarnell," and I'm like, "Again?"
I know.
And he said, "Yeah, it's over there off of Stagecoach Road, and it's kind of burning up the hill." I said, "Well, how much area is it right now?" He said, "It's a little over an acre." And then we started getting reports in, and I think it got pretty serious sometime between 4:30 and 4:45.
Yeah.
And we got notification that they were wanting to evacuate the east side of town, and at which time we went ahead and activated the Emergency Operations Center, because it's part of our protocol. Anytime there's an evacuation, we activate.
That's the trigger then, right there.
That's one of them.
Okay.
It's one of several.
That's my trigger as well.
It's definitely catch your attention. So when we was notified of that, our new facility is like really nice, and it's like our office is right adjacent to the Emergency Operations Center. So we walked right out of our office, set everything up, and we were set up probably in about 5 minutes, activated the American Red Cross, activated Animal Disaster Services.
How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you activate these agencies like that?
Call them.
You just call them?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty much that simple. We call them, and then we create an incident on WebEOC, and then once we create the incident on WebEOC, folks start trickling in, start filling in their positions, and then we get find out where we're at on personnel, and start ordering up people that we may need, requesting that they come in. And so we wanted to approach this one in kind of a smaller platform, and then build out to whatever organization we needed, instead of just coming in everybody at one time. So we started rather small, just a few positions. And I think, how many folks did we end up with, Marcy? About 10? 8,
yeah,
10?
average 10 to 15 a day.
Yeah, so we're really fortunate, because we've got the health department that's a major player in the Emergency Operations Center. We've got development services, flood control, MIS, Public Works, and so everybody has their roles to play, and we're very, very fortunate that now we've built our staff out to where we can go pretty much indefinitely. We have 3 shifts available, and we just rotate those shifts.
And these are the things you guys practiced for. I mean, just recently, right? You had
Right.
sort of a drill on. Was it a wildfire type drill incident?
Right.
It was an earthquake.
Earthquake, okay.
Yeah,
does the same things apply?
Oh, the systems are the same.
Okay.
Paul, whether it's an earthquake or whatever it is, we use the exact same systems over and over again. We work from a framework. So for us, regardless of the hazard, the framework remains the same. So the only difference is that, of course, there's operational things, such as a flood. We're going to be concerned about Jersey barriers, sandbags, that type of stuff.
Right.
In a wildfire, of course, we have different concerns, but from the standpoint of how we operate, it's the same.
What's it like for you, Marcy? What's the first thing you kind of do when you get that call? It's okay, we've got evacuations.
First thing I do is start verifying information, making sure that, is the evacuation really taking place, and where exactly is it happening, where are the road closures, all of that, and then from there we start pushing that information out and making sure that people are aware of it, of what's closed, what's open, where to go, where the shelter is going to be set up. So that's our first thing, is tell people what's happening.
Well, I got to tell you guys, in the last few years, I was telling you before the show, Slide Fire, I had difficult time getting information to put out on the air, but the way this one ran, and the fact that it was down by Yarnell again, I mean, I heard that and I was like, oh my gosh, Yarnell again, you know. But we're going to get into some of the things Yarnell did to help themselves as well out there. But I was really hoping everything would go smoothly, and I was telling you before the show that I would call Dolores at the Bureau of Land Management, which was an issue during the Yarnell Hill fire. Getting a hold of the BLM or the Arizona State Forestry was almost impossible to do, but Dolores Garcia from the BLM was just perfect. Marcy, I would call you in the morning, and you were always there. You always answered your phone, so that was fantastic. And then I had Diana Rodriguez from Red Cross, so I could get an update from her. And I feel like those are kind of my things that I do. It's like, okay, first thing I did was I called Denny and got an idea as to what was going on. And then from there, it's fire, then it's emergency management, and then it's Red Cross, and just keep rotating that information over and over again. But you guys did great. It was so well done.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It was really perfect.
A lot of folks worked really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we appreciate you putting the information out accurately
Yeah.
and not making things up. So that helps us a lot.
It really crunches my imagination. I can't do that either. That's awful.
I know, you got to keep the imagination out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I got to just report the facts, and that's it. Now let's talk a little bit about real quick. The fire was burning on the east side of Yarnell, running right towards it. We did lose 3 outbuildings or sheds. What kind of buildings? Do we know exactly the size?
Yeah, we had up on top of the hill was probably where the greatest value at risk was. It was a communications shed, held radio repeaters, it held communications equipment, and that fire went right through it. I have some pictures on that. I think the pictures are posted on our Facebook page.
Okay.
I'll take a look. If not, I'll get them to you. But it went right through there, and we lost that, which put our sheriff's office repeater down. And so we backed up to a secondary system. The sheds down in Yarnell proper were just outbuildings that you would have maybe some yard tools or something in.
Okay.
Not a great big value there, but as a structure, they were taken out. So.
What were the folks doing when this came down? I mean, I'm trying to get Dwight to come in, or the sheriff's office to come in and kind of talk about how the evacuation itself went. But what did you guys hear? Was it easy, smooth? Did it go really well? Were the folks in Yarnell like, no, not again? I imagine.
Well, it went rather quickly. And I can't speak to the SO because I was not there myself.
Sure.
But I didn't hear of any problems that popped up. We did have some transportation issues. We coordinated some buses, which was the first time that we used an IGA that we established last year. Hugh went out and worked. He's been working for quite a while getting this IGA done for the buses. And so we needed some buses to transport some folks to the shelters. And those were delivered. And so we moved them from, I believe it was the model school, up to the Red Cross shelter there in Prescott. So they're at the Yavapai College.
All right, we have to take our first break already. Yavapai County Emergency Management Director Denny Folk and Yavapai County Emergency Management Lead PIO Marcy Slay in studio today. This is Countywide. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up 1 finger if you're a man, women 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
If you don't fix them, sparks from dragging tow chains could cause a wildfire, and that could be scary.
Hi, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're talking with Yavapai County Emergency Management today about the Tenderfoot fire and a few other things are coming up as well. So we'll try to get through some of this as quickly as we can. But one thing I definitely wanted to put out is we do stories with you guys all the time, along with the Forest Service and with fire departments. And we plugged at it for February, March, and April. But it's defensible space, defensible space. And we were talking, I think it was day 2 of the fire in the morning. I think, Marcy, you're the one that told me that there was a break around the east side of Yarnell that stopped the fire. So tell me a little bit about that.
Go ahead. You know more about it.
Ben Palm, the fire chief of Yarnell, went and sought out some grants with the Bureau of Land Management and Arizona State Forestry. And his thought was to put a fire break on the east side of town up next to the hill, remove some of that vegetation and clean that area up. And he put a nice fire break that extended from the southern side up to the northern side of the eastern portion of town.
What kind of distance are we talking about there when you say that?
About a mile.
About a mile, okay.
Yeah, maybe
so
a little bit more.
I don't want people thinking it was just a block or two. But this is a great distance.
Considerable amount of area there. But they put that fire break in there. And when the fire came up over the hill, they had a place now that they could fight the fire from. And they ran fire lines and backfires from that fire break up to rob the fuel. That one action by far was the most influential action that saved the town. And consequently, that was a very, very effective fire break. It was very effective mitigation work that was done. It just goes to show that defensible space works, fire-wise mitigation works, and it pays huge dividends. And for that, Yavapai County Emergency Management is all in on building defensible space.
That's like the third example over the years I've been doing this that I can think of now. You bring that one up, but then there was the slide fire in Oak Creek Canyon where Garland's, the owner of Garland's, had some things done on the property outside the wall, and that slide fire hit that break and turned and went up the mountain, which saved most of Oak Creek Canyon, I think, there.
Right.
And then there was a fire, and I'm trying to remember, I was on vacation at the time. Brad was actually covering that one. There was a fire in the village of Oak Creek, and it went up to some homes, and one home was saved because it had the rock landscape and defensible space. The other house did not. One house burned, one didn't.
Well,
and it showed it again there.
Yeah, we see that all the time. If you take a look, if you were to do a comparative between 2013 Yarnell and 2016 Yarnell, you would see that there is a huge difference on the outcomes, huge difference on why the outcomes exist. And that defensible space is the difference. That mitigation work that was completed and done. So
that turned the fire northeast. I remember after talking about that break, it was always the fires headed northeast, and then Peoples Valley, they had some precautionary evacuations there, but it was always the fires moving away from Yarnell, where that first time it was just, so devastating. So defensible space, it works.
Yes,
Yes,
it does.
It's proven over and over again.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
So pay attention to that. If anything else, just get out there and clean up all the dead leaves and the grasses and stuff like that each year, and just spend a nice weekend outside doing that and get that taken care of.
Gutters.
Gutters, yeah, get the gutters cleaned out.
You got to clean the gutters, move the wood out from away from the building.
That's a good point.
Take all the receptive fuels, anything that is receptive that's close to the house, within that first 30 feet, you want to clear that out and move it away.
Get it out of there. Because I understand firefighters, if they come up on a house and they see it's just full of weeds and brush and stuff like that, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to do that house. But if this house over here is all, you know, pristine and looks like, okay, this is going to survive a fire, they'll help protect that home and then move on to the next one and keep going down the line.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so now the fire is not out. It's 61% contained as of last night at 4,087 acres is what I saw this morning on insaweb.gov. If people want to know information about fires, insaweb.gov is a great place to go for that. But now we've got the burned area emergency rehabilitation going on, the BEAR. That's already kicking into gear because monsoon is just a few weeks away. Right. So what's going on in terms of that?
We're going to be doing a watershed assessment starting today. Our flood control folks have already been out there assessing the area, but we're going to bring some experts in, have them take a look at the watershed, see how severely it was damaged, what can be done to remediate it, what can be done to protect the homes downstream, and then working with our partners at the NRCS, BLM, Flood Control District, we're going to work to see Game and Fish. We're going to work to see what programs we can bring to actually expedite the remediation of that watershed. There's a few areas that are of prime concern for us right now. And so if there's some things that we can do, some technology that we can bring to bear, or some processes, we're going to apply them over the next few days.
Now, I mentioned sand and sandbags are probably going to be a top priority for those
They've already been delivered.
Okay, so they're already there. All right.
What, at 15 tons?
Yeah, I believe, and a lot of sandbags. I think they counted 40,000, which is a little more.
Yeah. Well,
there's a huge amount of sandbags available. Everything is at the Presbyterian Community Church. We got some dumpsters over there for folks that need to use them, and we got sand and bags there. So if we need more, we got more.
Okay. All right. So that's all set to go. So the rehabilitation doesn't take very long. Once you figure out the game plan, it's just a matter of implementing it. So it shouldn't take too long.
The longest part of that typically is the paperwork involved and making sure you have permission to do what has to be done.
Sure.
That's the long part. That's the hardest part.
Well, we got a little break too. I mean, the Schultz fire north of Flagstaff that year that hit, and then it flooded all the Donny Park and all those communities back there. I mean, it was literally fire out, monsoon on top of it, right? Over and over and over again daily. So that was pretty rough. Let's take our second break. We come back, we can talk about fire restrictions. Those are going into place, huh?
Absolutely.
All right, this is Countywide. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll be right back with Yavapai County Emergency Management. Stick around.
This was me. And Mom and Dad. And my big brother Alex. And Jack. And this was the day that I learned that sandals get their name from sand. That jellyfish aren't made of jelly. That stars don't just come from the sky. That the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget that I was sick. And it changed everything. This was my wish.
I dare you. I dare you to change the world. Yeah, you. Getting that college education.
I dare you to be somebody important.
Like be a teacher. Or a reality TV star.
I dare you to stand up here.
To call the shots.
To be a role model.
An inspiration. An innovator.
To be a teacher.
Think you can change my life?
Make me excited about science like you.
Have a career that really means something?
Then do it.
I dare you.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got, looks like about 4 minutes left of the program. We're going into fire restrictions, and I wanted to bring up before we start talking too much about it, is that years ago it used to be that everyone's coordinated now, I guess is what I'm getting at, where it would be, I was telling Kyle, I said, so you'd have this fire agency in this town, and then this city, and then this town, and then we have stage 1 restrictions here, but we're in stage 2 over here, we got stage 3 over here, and it was just different across the board. So it was really confusing, I think, to everybody, including myself. It's like, okay, where are the restrictions and what are the restrictions? But they're in place. They're going into place Wednesday morning at 8 a.m.
Correct.
Okay. And what does this mean for residents of Yavapai County? Because there's always a lot of questions about that.
Well, basically that means that there's no open flame and that there's no spark producing equipment to be used. So we don't have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. We're either on or we're off. Mm-hmm. So we will be in fire restrictions on Wednesday, and that just means no open flames.
Number one question I always get is, does this mean I can use charcoal on a barbecue in my backyard?
Yes.
Okay.
You can. If it has a lid on it and it's contained, we don't want to keep anybody from barbecuing. That's un-American.
Right. Okay. So. Okay. There you go. Okay. Well, that's always a question. That is like the number one question from folks right here. They'll be like, okay, so can I barbecue in my backyard?
Well, we would prefer that folks use gas, and because you can turn gas off. So
right.
It's really, really simple. But with the sparks and things like that, that's what we're trying to avoid. A couple of years ago, the Iron Fire over there off of Highway 89. We had some crews out there working on the highway, doing their business. Next thing you know, a grinder started a fire that ran for hundreds of acres and threatened homes, and it was a grinder.
You hear about that a lot.
We have to be careful, and we live in a hazardous environment. Let's just do our part to reduce the risk to our homes, our friends, and our neighbors. So let's do our part.
Yeah, it's not just about us. We got to think about everything around us too.
Right.
But yeah, we've had a welding fire this year that was a home that was having some rail work done and some slag dropped down underneath the deck, and boom, all of a sudden you got a fire going on. But we have heard about the grinders, the grinding on fences and stuff like that. So yeah, we have to be careful. So so I'm going to say this again: barbecue grills are okay with charcoal as long as you have a lid for it. And then I think maybe what we should really talk about too is that the coals, when you're done with them, don't just throw them in your garbage can or dump them out on the ground, because we've seen fires start that way too, where somebody's done with their grill and they take the coals out the back door. They think they're out and they throw them out the back.
Now, what I would like to share with you is one, I'm not going to sit here and definitively say that would be good across all zones. What I would say is, whatever jurisdiction you're in, take a look at the authority behind that jurisdiction. Check the actual rules that they are operating by, because every fire department, every fire district, every forest, and the county itself has specific rules for the implementation of this. Check those prior to saying that, because where it may be good in one area, it may not be good in the other. We have a specific ordinance 12-1. Take a look at that. It does outline what is allowed and what is not.
That's a good point. Yeah, you should call your local fire agency.
Absolutely.
And check with them first. The Forest Service, no charcoal except in designated campgrounds and designated grills. So they do change a little bit. But you can go on the individual Forest Service websites, find out information there. And like you said, you can go to the county's website and find out what it is for county unincorporated Yavapai County.
Absolutely.
And then your individual fire agencies as well. So, okay. All right, we're out of time. Thanks for coming in, Danny. Great seeing you.
Thank you for the invite.
Thanks for a great job too. It was really, really well done, well orchestrated, and it was just nice to be able to do my job and do it.
Well, it's all the people working out there and our volunteers that help that makes it all come together. So
absolutely.
All right, that's today's Countywide. Thanks for watching and listening, and we will talk to you again next time.